Good morning, everyone. Today I'm with Tracey from the Finance Corp. Excellent presentation and a great mortgage broker. I'm going to ask her a few questions for the buyer's point of view.
Here we are today with Amit from Harcourts. Now, I want to ask you some questions about, buying and selling homes because you're a real estate agent and you know what you're talking about. So I have some questions around that to help my viewers learn a little bit more about how the real estate world works. Is that okay?
For sure. Hi, Tracey. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you.
A question for you. How much deposit a buyer need to buy a home?
So generally speaking, a buyer can have a 2% deposit depending on their scenario, or they could have a 5% deposit, or if they do have more than that, then that's even better. So the more deposit they have, the less mortgage insurance they're going to pay. However, it's hard to save these days. So generally speaking, a 2% deposit can get them into a home.
Thank you so much. Also, Tracey, what is a pre-approval and how important it is for the first-home buyers or investors?
So admit it's really important for the first home buyers to have a pre-approval in place, because when they're going out looking at houses and talking to the real estate agents, if they don't have that pre-approval in place, then they're not going to have a high chance of getting their offer approved, because a pre-approval kind of states that they've spoken to someone, they know their borrowing capacity, and it's really important to have that because you want the agent to talk to the seller and say, hey, these guys are really organised, they've got good affordability and they're a good person to pick. So it's really important for them to have that pre-approval in place.
And how long does it take for pre-approval to get processed?
So generally speaking, if they give us all the documents really fast, we'll still ask the agent, I guess, for 28 days if they're purchasing. But however, if they haven't purchased yet, a pre-approval could take maybe up to about 2 weeks to get done, depending on the lender. You know, there's one particular lender, if we have all the documents in, we could get an answer in 24 to 48 hours. So it really depends on the client scenario and which lender we can go with, or the lender that they choose, to how long that pre-approval is going to take. But it's so important to get that pre-approval first up, because their chances are going to be a lot higher when they're purchasing the property to actually get their offer accepted.
And what's the first step someone should take before purchasing a house?
Always talk to your mortgage broker. So come and see us at Finance Corp. We'll run through how much they can borrow, how much deposit they've got, if they fit the bank's policy, because they're the three things that someone needs to cover off in order to get approved. So really important to talk to a mortgage broker first and find out what they can and can't do, because we don't want the clients to waste their time looking at all these properties and waste the real estate agent's time as well, and then get disheartened because they can't actually afford what they want to buy. Yep. So it's really important to come and see a broker first.
Thank you so much, Tracey, for giving us some valuable answers to my viewers and your viewers. Thank you so much.
I'm happy to share my knowledge with everybody. The house is actually selling for over the asking price at the moment in this current market.
In general view, in WA, we are still sitting at seller's market. So definitely the prices are quite premium prices are achieved by the sellers, and they're very happy in this market.
Yeah, okay, so realistically, if a buyer's wanting to put an offer in, if they're offering the asking price, maybe they should look at offering a little bit higher. Is that what you're saying?
The way the house been advertised, but it's better to do a bit of your homework and ask questions before you place an offer, and then you go and place an offer, and make sure you stay in the competition, not offering low, which will keep you out of the competition.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for answering that question. That explains, what the buyer should be doing when they are looking at purchasing. So, tell me, with buyers in the current markets, what's scaring them the most at the moment, do you think?
I think the biggest scare at this current market, the budget which just came out from the government, which hasn't come out fully clearly. We haven't got a lot of information. It's still in the process, which is keeping the buyers out of the market, especially the investors. When the more clarity of the budget comes out, it may change thinking of investors.
Yes. Yeah, I totally agree. I think once it's set in concrete and people, I guess, get used to it and have a better understanding of it, I think the market will change again.
That is correct. That is correct.
Yeah. Next question is, what makes a buyer stand out to your seller?
The biggest thing is about pre-approval, finance pre-approval stands with the buyer. The vendor always looks for a gentleman I'm going with contract with has a pre-approval. So there is no chances for contract to fall through where the cost of marketing being applied for selling the house doesn't come out from vendor's pocket.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess if there were cash offers up against subject to finance, but the cash offers were a little bit lower, do you find that sellers will go for the cash offer because it's lower, or would they more likely still go with the subject to finance, even though the cash, I guess, because the subject to finance is higher?
It depends on a seller. As a professional real estate agent, I'll try to educate my vendor, try to give him every option. What option will have this result? What option will have this result? And then the vendor has a final call. He may get attracted towards the cash offer, which has limited regulation, limited contractual side.
Yeah, okay, great. It's just good to get an idea of, when you're talking to the sellers, obviously, for us to know, what the differences is and whether our buyers, which obviously we're doing finance for, are still in with a chance if they're up against other investors or people that have cash. So thank you for explaining that. That was great. So, Amit, tell me, what's the biggest myth about real estate agents, do you think?
The biggest myth about real estate agent, which I come across and I talk in the industry, they think real estate agent works for the commission. But actually, the good real estate agent is actually working for reputation, referral, and the client satisfaction. A bad review can cost huge loss for his businesses. So great real estate agent is always looking for good referral. It's just not always about the commission. There's plenty of work involved in the back door.
Yes, for sure, and especially at the moment with, I guess, you having multiple offers on properties, you're doing a lot of work, doing the runaround with getting offers presented and talking to the seller and the buyers. So there's actually a lot of work that goes into it for a real estate agent.
That is correct. The time we get the listing signed till the time the contract is signed, the property is sold, there's plenty of work to do behind the door. And as a good real estate agent who only works for referral, not about the commission, he makes sure his clients, his vendors' needs are fulfilled in every angle and follow being done through the vendor.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for that. That's it's been great chatting to you about real estate, and hopefully I've taught you, and obviously the people watching, taught them lots of new things about how to get finance and what's the current market doing at the moment.
Thank you so much, Tracey, for having a discussion with me. It was great for people to know what's happening in the finance world. We'll definitely catch up again and do one more podcast for our viewers.
Yeah,
Thank
sure.
you.
So stay tuned for the next podcast. Like and subscribe and comment down below.